When Michael Jackson walked into that children's hospital on October 15th, 1985, he thought he was just visiting sick kids. He had no idea that what he would witness would inspire the greatest charity concert in music history, bringing together five of the biggest rivals in pop music for one impossible night. The rain was falling softly outside Children's Hospital Los Angeles as Michael made his way through the pediatric ward. He'd done hospital visits before, but something felt different this time. Maybe it was the weight of his recent success, or maybe it was the letter from the hospital administrator about a special patient who'd requested to meet him. "She's been asking for you every day for 3 weeks," Nurse Patricia Martinez said as they approached room 314. "Amy's only 7 years old, but she's been fighting leukemia for 8 months. The doctors, well, let's just say, this visit means everything to her." Michael adjusted his sequined glove and took a deep breath. Behind that famous exterior, he was still just a young man who felt deeply for every child he met. When he opened the door, he saw a tiny girl with a bright yellow headscarf, surrounded by get-well cards and a small radio playing Billie Jean softly in the background. "Michael!" Amy's face lit up with pure joy. "You really came." "Of course I came, sweetheart," Michael said, sitting on the edge of her bed. "I heard you've been very brave." Amy's mother, Sarah, watched from the corner with tears in her eyes. "She's been practicing your moonwalk in her bed," she whispered. "Even when the chemotherapy makes her sick, she says your music helps the pain go away." For the next hour, Michael sang quietly to Amy, helped her practice hand movements to his songs, and listened to her talk about her dreams. She wanted to be a singer someday, she said. She wanted to help other sick kids feel better with music, just like Michael did for her. But then Amy said something that would change Michael's life forever. "Mr. Michael," she whispered, her small voice barely audible, "I wish all the singers could come together and make music for kids like me, like a big party where everyone forgets about being famous and just thinks about helping." Those words hit Michael like lightning. All the singers, together, for kids like Amy. As he drove home that evening, Michael couldn't shake Amy's innocent suggestion. Here was a 7-year-old girl fighting for her life, and her biggest dream wasn't fame or fortune. It was unity. Unity among artists who spent most of their time competing against each other. That night, sitting in his Encino home, Michael made a decision that would shock the music world. He was going to call the biggest names in music, his rivals, his competitors, and ask them to do something unprecedented. But would Whitney Houston, George Michael, Madonna, and Prince really put aside their egos for a charity concert? The first challenge was obvious. These were the most successful artists of the decade, each with massive egos and busy schedules. Michael himself had been labeled the king of pop, but he shared the throne with equally powerful musical royalty. This wasn't just about organizing a concert. This was about asking the impossible. Michael spent 3 days crafting his approach. He couldn't just call and ask for favors. Each of these artists needed to understand that this was bigger than any individual career, bigger than any rivalry or competition. This was about using their collective power for something that mattered. On October 18, 1985, Michael picked up the phone to make 4 calls that would change music history. The first call was to Whitney Houston. If anyone would understand the healing power of music, it would be Whitney. Her voice could move mountains, and more importantly, Michael knew she had a heart that matched her talent. "Whitney, it's Michael Jackson," he said when she picked up. "Michael, what a surprise. How are you doing?" Michael took a deep breath. "Whitney, I need to ask you something unusual. I've got an idea for a charity concert, but not just any charity concert. I want to bring together the biggest names in music for something that's never been done before." There was a pause. Michael's heart pounded as he waited for her response. "Tell me more," Whitney said, her voice warm with interest. "I'm thinking about you, me, George Michael, Madonna, and Prince. All of us, one stage, one night, for children's charities." "I know it sounds crazy." "Michael!" Whitney interrupted, and he braced himself for rejection. "Michael, you know I'm in. When do we start?" Michael felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Really? Just like that? Music saved my life when I was growing up, Whitney said. If we can use our voices to save even one child's life, then yes, absolutely yes. What do you need me to do? Whitney's immediate enthusiasm gave Michael the confidence he needed for the next call. If Whitney was in, maybe this impossible dream could actually happen. The second call was to George Michael. Despite his massive success with Wham and his growing solo career, George had always been vocal about music's responsibility to society. Michael hoped that philosophy would translate into action. George, it's Michael Jackson. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. Michael, not at all. To what do I owe this honor? Michael explained his vision again, his confidence growing with each word. When he finished, there was a long pause that made him nervous. Michael, George finally said, this is exactly what music should do. This is exactly why we're here. Count me in, absolutely. Let's make history. You mean it. I mean it. Music without purpose is just noise. You're talking about giving our music real purpose. I wouldn't miss this for anything. 2 down, 2 more impossible calls to go. Michael was starting to believe this could actually work. The third call was to Madonna. This would be trickier. Madonna was known for her fierce independence and her reluctance to share spotlights. But Michael also knew she was a master performer who understood the power of making bold moves. Madonna, it's Michael Jackson. Michael, this is unexpected. What's going on? Michael launched into his explanation, emphasizing the historic nature of what they could accomplish together. When he finished, Madonna was quiet for a long moment. You want me to what? She finally asked. Share a stage with my biggest competitors? I'm not asking you to share anything, Michael said carefully. I'm asking you to lead something. This isn't about competition, Madonna. This is about using our individual power to create something bigger than any of us could do alone. Another pause. Michael held his breath. Michael Jackson, Madonna said slowly, you just made me remember why I started singing in the first place. Yes, I'm in. And I have ideas. Ideas? This isn't just going to be a concert, Michael. This is going to be a statement. We're going to show the world what happens when artists stop fighting each other and start fighting for something that matters. 3 down. 1 more call. The hardest call. Prince was legendary for his independence. He did things his own way, on his own terms, and he rarely collaborated with anyone, let alone his biggest rival. Michael knew this call could make or break the entire project. Prince, it's Michael. Michael. Prince's voice was neutral, giving nothing away. I need to ask you about something. It's about a charity concert, but it's not what you think. Michael explained his vision, being careful to emphasize that this wasn't about any individual artist's ego or career. This was about 5 artists using their combined power for something bigger than music. Prince was silent for so long that Michael wondered if the call had been disconnected. Prince, are you there? I'm here, Prince said quietly. Michael, you know I don't usually do things like this. Michael's heart sank. I understand if you're not interested. I didn't say I wasn't interested, Prince interrupted. I said I don't usually do things like this. But this isn't usual, is it? This is about those kids you mentioned. It's all about the kids. Another long pause, then, when and where? Michael almost dropped the phone. You're in? I'm in. But Michael, yes, this better be real. If this is just about publicity or career moves, I'm out. Prince, I promise you, this is about helping kids who need our help. That's all it's about. Then count me in. When Michael hung up the phone after that 4th call, he sat in his living room in stunned silence. It had actually worked. Whitney Houston, George Michael, Madonna, and Prince had all said yes. Now came the real challenge, bringing these 5 massive egos together and making it work. But first, Michael called Children's Hospital Los Angeles. Could you put me through to Amy's room? He asked. When Amy's mother answered, Michael could hear the little girl's excited voice in the background. Mrs. Patterson, it's Michael Jackson. Could I speak to Amy for a moment? Amy, honey, it's Michael. Hi, Mr. Michael. Amy's voice was weak but happy. Amy, remember when you said you wished all the singers could come together to help kids like you? Uh-huh. Well, I just made some phone calls. Whitney Houston, George Michael, Madonna, and Prince all want to do a concert for kids like you. What do you think about that? Amy's squeal of delight was so loud that Michael had to pull the phone away from his ear. In the background, he could hear her telling her mother and the nurses. Amy's joy gave him all the motivation he needed to make this impossible concert actually happen. The first meeting was scheduled for October 25th at a private recording studio in Beverly Hills. Michael arrived early, nervous about how this would go. These were 5 of the biggest egos in music, all in one room, supposedly working together. What could possibly go wrong? Whitney arrived first, her warm smile immediately putting Michael at ease. "I've been thinking about this all week," she said. "I can't wait to see how we're going to pull this off." George Michael came next, followed quickly by Madonna, who walked in with the confidence of someone who owned every room she entered. Prince arrived last, quietly taking in the room before nodding politely to everyone. For a moment, the 5 superstars just looked at each other. These were people accustomed to being the center of attention, and suddenly they were sharing that attention with equals. "Well," Michael finally said, "this is either going to be the best idea I've ever had or the worst." George Michael laughed. "I vote for the best. Anybody want coffee?" That small gesture broke the ice. Within minutes, they were sitting around a conference table, talking about logistics and vision, like a group of friends planning a birthday party instead of 5 competitors who'd never worked together before. "So what are we thinking for venue?" Madonna asked. "Because if we're going to do this, we need to do this right. This needs to be the biggest charity concert ever." "I was thinking Wembley Stadium," Michael said. "It holds 100,000 people." Prince looked up from his notes. 100,000? That's not a concert. That's a small city. "Exactly," Whitney said. "Imagine 100,000 people all focused on helping children. Imagine that energy." "I love it," George said. "But how do we structure the show? We can't all go on at the same time." "Why not?" Madonna asked. "I mean, not for the whole show, but what if we each do our individual sets, and then we do something together at the end?" Michael felt a spark of excitement. "I actually have an idea for that. I co-wrote a song a few months ago specifically for charity. It's called We Are the World. What if we use that for our finale?" The room went quiet. Prince was the first to speak. "You want us to perform a song you wrote?" Michael realized how that sounded. "It's not about me," he said quickly. "It's about the message. The song is about unity, about coming together for something bigger than ourselves. That's exactly what we're doing here." Whitney nodded slowly. "Can we hear it?" Michael played a demo of We Are the World on the studio's sound system. As the music filled the room, something magical happened. You could see each artist connecting with the lyrics, understanding how perfectly the song captured what they were trying to do. When it finished, Madonna spoke first. "That's not just a song, Michael. That's an anthem." "It's perfect for what we're doing," George agreed. Prince was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "If we're going to do this, that's how we should end it." The meeting lasted 4 hours. They discussed everything from song selections to staging to promotional strategy. But the most important thing that happened was the gradual realization that this crazy idea might actually work. As they prepared to leave, Whitney turned to the group. "Can I say something? I know we're all used to being the star of our own shows, but what we're doing here, it's bigger than any individual performance. We're creating something that's never existed before." "A night when competition doesn't matter," George added. "A night when music serves its highest purpose," Prince said quietly. "A night that could actually change lives," Madonna concluded. Michael felt tears welling up in his eyes. "A night for kids like Amy." 3 weeks later, the announcement was made. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, George Michael, Madonna, and Prince would perform together at Wembley Stadium for Music for Children, the largest charity concert in history. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Tickets for all 100,000 seats sold out in 4 hours. International television networks bid for broadcast rights. But most importantly, donations started pouring in before the concert even happened. The weeks leading up to the concert were a whirlwind of rehearsals, logistics meetings, and media interviews. But the most amazing thing was watching these 5 superstars gradually become a team. During rehearsals, they maintained their individual artistic integrity while finding ways to support each other's performances. Prince would listen quietly as Michael worked out vocal arrangements. Madonna offered staging suggestions that enhanced rather than competed with others' performances. Whitney's warm personality became the emotional glue that held the group together. George's sense of humor kept everyone relaxed during stressful moments. They weren't becoming best friends. They were too different for that, but they were becoming something more valuable. Collaborators who respected each other's talents and shared a common purpose. 2 days before the concert, Amy Patterson was released from the hospital for one day to attend the final dress rehearsal. When Michael introduced her to the other four artists, something beautiful happened. "Amy," Whitney said, kneeling down to the little girl's level, "Michael told us you were the one who gave him this idea." "You're the reason we're all here," Madonna added gently. Amy looked up at these five superstars with wonder. "You're all really going to sing together?" "We're going to sing for you," Prince said softly, "and for all the kids like you." Amy's smile could have powered the entire stadium. The night of the concert, June 15th, 1986, was unlike anything the music world had ever seen. 100,000 people filled Wembley Stadium, while an estimated 1.2 billion people watched on television worldwide. Backstage, the five artists went through their individual pre-show rituals. Michael did his usual stretching and vocal warm-ups. Whitney led a group prayer circle. Madonna reviewed her choreography one final time. George practiced guitar chords for his acoustic set. Prince meditated quietly in his dressing room. But 30 minutes before showtime, they all gathered in Michael's dressing room for a moment that none of them had planned. "I just want to say something," Michael began. "6 months ago, I was just visiting a sick little girl in the hospital. Tonight, we're about to perform for the largest live audience in music history. This happened because all of you said yes to something that seemed impossible." "This happened because you had the courage to make those phone calls," Whitney responded. "This happened because we all remembered why we became musicians in the first place," George added. "To touch people's lives," Madonna said. "To heal through music," Prince concluded. They stood in a circle for a moment, five individual superstars who had become something greater than the sum of their parts. The concert was magical from the first note. Each artist delivered a career-defining individual performance. Michael's set included Billie Jean, Beat It, and Thriller, performed with an energy that seemed to feed off the massive crowd. Whitney's voice soared through Greatest Love of All and How Will I Know, bringing 100,000 people to their feet. George Michael's acoustic segment created an intimate moment in the massive stadium, while Madonna's multimedia performance pushed the boundaries of what a live concert could be. Prince's set was a masterclass in musical versatility, ranging from rock anthems to gentle ballads. But the real magic happened during the finale. When Michael called all four artists back to the stage for We Are the World, something unprecedented occurred. 100,000 people began singing along from the first note. The individual voices of five superstars blended into something larger, supported by a choir of fans that stretched as far as the eye could see. Television cameras captured fans with tears streaming down their faces, not because of the celebrity spectacle, but because of the pure emotion of the moment. This was music serving its highest purpose, bringing people together, healing divides, creating hope. As the song reached its climax, the five artists stood together at the front of the stage, their individual voices creating harmonies none of them could have achieved alone. Behind them, the massive video screens showed images of children in hospitals around the world, including Amy Patterson, who was watching from her hospital bed. When the final note ended, the stadium erupted in applause that lasted for nearly 10 minutes. But the real victory was announced during the closing moments of the broadcast. The concert had raised over $50 million for children's charities worldwide. Backstage after the show, the five artists shared a group embrace that felt different from typical post-performance celebrations. They had accomplished something none of them could have done alone. They had proven that competition and collaboration could coexist, that individual excellence could serve collective good. "We should do this again," Madonna said as they prepared to go their separate ways. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," Prince replied with a rare smile. "But if another sick kid asked Michael to make some phone calls, I'll know exactly who to call, Michael finished. 6 months later, Amy Patterson was declared cancer-free. Her doctors credited her improved attitude and fighting spirit as crucial factors in her recovery. When asked what had helped her most during her treatment, Amy's answer was simple: knowing that people cared enough to sing together for kids like me. The Music for Children concert became a template for future charity events, proving that even the biggest egos in entertainment could put aside their differences for a cause bigger than themselves. But more importantly, it proved that sometimes the most powerful force in music isn't competition, it's collaboration. And it all started with one phone call from a man who remembered that behind all the fame and fortune, music's greatest power is its ability to heal. Today, Music for Children is remembered as one of the greatest concerts in history. Not because of the spectacle, not because of the celebrity power, but because it demonstrated something beautiful about human nature. When we stop competing against each other and start working together, we can accomplish the impossible. Michael Jackson made 4 phone calls that changed music history, but really he made one choice that changed everything. The choice to believe that unity was possible, even among rivals. The phone call that united music history started with a 7-year-old girl's simple wish. It ended with proof that dreams really can come true when people care enough to make them happen. All it takes is someone brave enough to pick up the phone and ask, "What if we did this together?"